let's talk about who's going to create this content. Now that you've kind of picked out what you want to do, who's going to do it, right? So Al, the first one, obviously you are probably the subject matter expert when it comes to most of this stuff, right? This is the obvious answer. Now, in a lot of situations, you guys are probably busy running your business, right? And don't always have time to sit down, spend some time creating content. So if that's the case, then you have to figure out a different way to get the content done, right? So if that is the case, you have to figure out, okay, how, if I can find somebody, how am I going to compensate them? So there's really two ways to go about that. Obviously, there's money. You can just pay somebody to create the content. That's one way. The other way to compensate somebody for that is in exposure, right? So you can say, I will, give you exposure on my website in exchange for you writing the content, something along those lines. Now, those are the two ways to do it. For the most part, people are going to want to get paid for the content, right? I think that's pretty common, and we'll talk about those kinds of things. Now, there are ways for you to go out and find complementary websites. For example, this is a site called House Beautiful, and here's somebody that wrote an article. Caroline Picard and Lauren Smith wrote this article that went on to House Beautiful. It could be that you contact them, contact these authors and say, hey, I'd be interested in you writing something for us, along the same lines or something similar to this. So there's a way to find a writer, and there's lots of these complementary websites out there that you could approach the authors of those sites. You could just go to Google and type in the phrase window treatment blogger. There are people out there that have identified themselves as such. And then you could just go reach out to them and say, hey, what do you charge for a blog article or a piece of content that I could put onto my website? That's another way to do it. There's a site called Follower Wonk, which is fun to say. And you could do the same thing here. You could go to this site, type in a specific phrase, an industry, along with the word blogger, and you can find people that have identified themselves as writers for a specific industry. And then you could reach out to them because they'll show up, their profile will show up as being a writer for that specific industry. So that's something else that you can do. That tool is available. I think it's followerwonk.com. You could also build a page on your website and try to attract people to your site. So you could say, build a Write For Us type of page, a page on your website that says Write For Us, along with a little information about what you're looking for, in a form that they can fill out if they want to submit an article to you. A lot of times people will submit articles to you in exchange for just having a link back to their website as well. You do have to be a little careful because sometimes the sites that you're linking to are just really bad. So you have to be careful. You have to be a little bit selfish about who you're linking out to. Is the content worth the link that you're sending out? Is the juice worth, the juice worth the squeeze? Something like that. But anyway, be careful when you're doing that. But this is a way to go about doing so. Now, when it comes to paying for content, what do you pay? There are some sites out there. This is a site called Jobs from ProBlogger. This is a job board for people that are wanting to hire bloggers. And I wouldn't say go out here and post your job or your blog writing job, but you could go out here and cruise through this and see what other people are offering to pay for the same thing, right? So you could go and just search for other specific similar things and see what people are offering to pay. That would give you a good idea of a pay range. Obviously you could post a job there too as well, but the idea is just to do some recon and get some good idea of what the potential compensation is.